Hello. Good day, everyone. Welcome back to our lesson for today. My name is Miss Antonieta Dumabok. Your teaching demonstration for today. Today, I'm going to conduct my teaching demonstration based on my lesson plan that I made. So I will show you here my lesson plan for the module 07. This is my detailed education lesson plan. Okay, so today our objective at the end of the lesson, the student should be able to know the impact of word processor application in the education system. Second, understand the effects of this application to students and teachers and the guidelines in using this effectively in education. Third, able to explain importance of PowerPoint presentation in education. And lastly, discuss the correct guidelines and procedure in using PowerPoint presentation. These are our objective for today. So before I'll start, let's pray first. I just want to request to all of you that please stand up, and in the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. Amen. Thank you, Lord, for guiding us our class. And please be seated. Okay, so now I'm going to check our attendance to know everybody is present. Okay, class, so thank you. Nice to hear everybody is present. So let's proceed our module for today. So today we will tackle about the use of PowerPoint presentation as educational technology. What are the use of PowerPoint presentation as educational technology? The objective of this module is to explain the impact of word processor application in the education system. The module discusses the effect of this application to students and teachers and the guidelines in using this effectively in education. The module aims to explain importance of PowerPoint presentation in education and highlights the significance of this software and communicative tool. The module will also discuss the correct guidelines and procedure in using PowerPoint presentation. So these are the use of PowerPoint presentation as educational technology. So for a while, I just want to make it big. Okay, so next, what is PowerPoint? PowerPoint, it is regarded as the most useful, accessible way to create and present visual aids. It encourages and supports teaching learning process by facilitating the material presentation. Next, this program can perform a variety of functions such as text editing, slide note, printing, animating, and others. PowerPoint is a widely used presentation program that originated in the world of business but now has become commonplace in the world of educational technology. What is PowerPoint? Microsoft PowerPoint is a powerful slideshow presentation program. It is a standard component of the company Microsoft Office suite software and is bundled together with Word, Excel, and other Office productivity tools. The program uses slides to convey information rich in multimedia. These are our PowerPoint presentation. Okay. What is reason to use PowerPoint presentation? Reason to use PowerPoint presentation is producing better visual effects and deeper impression, speeding up the information transfer. Appropriate use of PowerPoint can enhance the teaching and learning experience for both staff and students. It provides encouragement and support to staff by facilitating the structuring of a presentation in a professional manner. The templates provided have been designed to default to good presentation criteria such as the number of lines of information per slide and appropriate font size and types and types. Using the styles of the default templates can significantly improve the clarity and structuring of a presentation. This helps to avoid the common use of excessive text, often found on overhead transparencies. By careful mixing of media, presentation can appeal to a number of different learning styles and be made more stimulating. You are encouraged to incorporate more sophisticated visual and auditory media into presentation, although care is required because of the inevitable increase in file size and the danger of excessive use. Incorporation can be done either directly from within the program or sometimes more successfully by appropriate or pausing of the PowerPoint presentation and using alternative technology. Note that this does not require switching off either the computer system, the projector system. One of the most common perception that restrict use instead. Use the V character toggle switch during slide presentation to blank the screen temporarily while using other media. The electronic files format allow distribution and modification for vice students unable to be present or who have impaired or visual auditory difficulties. PowerPoint comes with a free viewer program that can be distributed with a file so that the reader is not required to have a PowerPoint on their personal system. However, if they do have it, they are able to perform a greater variety of manipulation on the PowerPoint file provided, such as editing the text before printing it out. Most visual learning environments are now capable of including PowerPoint's presentation if required. Editing of its PowerPoint file is very easy with minimal associated reprinting cost. This is an potential immediacy of revision facilities, reflection upon an evolution of teaching materials by staff whilst minimizing the consequences of any revision in terms of either workload or time. This was a major reason for my own extensive switch of teaching materials to PowerPoint, even when the end of product was required to be an overhead projection slides. I also find that I can add a new slide whilst in a lecture if so required. I often use these methods to present notice or create a record or the outcome when collecting information from the class so that it can subsequently be made available to the entire class. The, the printing of handout in a variety of formats is facilitated with a number of embedded options to print either the slides themselves or the text from the slides. The outlines may be saved as or RTF format and opened for further modification within an appropriate word processor. This allows the easy development for more sophisticated handout based on the PowerPoint presentation but with extra interactive elements such as readings and questions added where appropriate. Extra information can be hidden within the files for answering predicted questions or for providing feedback to students using the file in distance learning context. The use of speakers' notes and automated feedback system was described by Motley who also describes other ways to use PowerPoint for development of self-study materials. The portability of the files, especially on compact desks, with their large or capacity, allow presentation to be given whenever the technology is available or described by appropriate. Presentation can also be set up to run automatically required as demonstration instructions within a laboratory. What is PowerPoint used for? Microsoft PowerPoint is a software application that is particularly used to present data and information by using text diagram with animation, image, and transitional effects. In the form of slides, it helps people to better understand the idea or topic in front of the audience particularly and easily. These are reason use PowerPoint presentation. So next, common barriers in using PowerPoint presentation. Staff are often reluctant to invest the time required to convert materials to an appropriate PowerPoint format. Those that convert current materials may not do so in a very acceptable way. Simply using PowerPoint is an alternative way to provide text-based notes. Appropriate use PowerPoint involves using its features to enhance the teaching and learning experience, and this is daunting to some who do not wish to spend significant time developing their understanding of the pedagogical opportunities and limitations offered by PowerPoint. Most for those who decide to develop their use of this technology, however, find that for a relatively short-term investment of time at the start, they receive a long maintaining and updating their teaching. Seen as investment for the future, using PowerPoint is a very positive activity. Common barriers when presenting PowerPoint. Fear and anxiety. One of the biggest barriers to presentation success is fear and anxiety. Lack of enthusiasm, lack of experience, overused gestures, and lack of eye contact, giving a vague or confusing call to actions. This is the common barriers when presenting a PowerPoint. Risk factor associated when using technology. Equipment failure, refusal of any component of the system to work as expected. Valve failure is the projector, as rare but possible. The solution here is to have alternative activities or prepared. File corruption caused by magnetic or physical damage so that the presentation will not run. Best countered by having alternative media files available, or CDs are fairly robust medium and unaffected by magnetic fields. Incompatible media. Arriving and finding your files are incompatible with the system available. Best solution is to be aware of the system you plan to use or carry your own laptop. Incompatible media or arriving and finding your files are incompatible with the system available. Best solution is to be aware of the system you plan to use or carry your own laptop. What are the disadvantages of PowerPoint presentation? Advantages of PowerPoint include the ease of use and ability to create smooth presentation flow, while disadvantages include the inability to represent the complexity of certain topic and need for basic equipment to present the slideshow. The pedagogical issues. How to use a PowerPoint. In terms of its use within the curriculum, there are many potential options available limited only by nature of the subject and the creativity of the user. Clearly, it's most commonly used in lecture or seminars with situations, often largely in information transmission mode. Here, the potential improvements in structure and clarity, especially when appropriate graphics are used, are very significant positives, although there are dangers too, such as presentation can become gimmicky or overloaded with materials and effects. Encourage students to be passive during lectures be delivered too quickly. The linear structuring typical of many lectures can be made more flexible by using hyperlinking option both within and out with the PowerPoint presentation and by using the methods for jumping to particular slides that are not part of the linear sequence. Nonlinear use PowerPoint, however, is mainly pedagogical issue that PowerPoint can be adapted to provide. There are diverse ways that it can be used, even during lecture and some seminars including delivering automated instructional or protocol in laboratory session. This is the delivering automated instructional protocols and laboratory sessions, gathering the outcomes of discussion and polls during class activities, providing tests and options for consideration during class sessions, and questions and answer sessions. Next, interacting with websites and information, provision of self-study sessions with feedback after the class activity monthly, and requiring student presentation, and building complex visual with or without animation. These are the pedagogical issues how to use a PowerPoint. And next, creating a successful presentation. What are creating a successful presentation? Creating a successful presentation, plan your presentation structure carefully and according to the general rules of presentation. The key to successful presentation lecture is to have a clear structure and generally not more than 5 key topics areas. Know the level at which the presentation is aimed and develop the content for this level. Do not present too much textual material on each slides and avoid simply reading out what is on the slides. Provide many structural heading and subheadings around which the bulk of the verbal presentation takes place so that students still required to be active and take notes of detail. Make sure that you speak a normal pace and do not allow the use of PowerPoint to deliver materials too quickly. This is one of the most commonly encountered problems when converting to using PowerPoint. Utilize the visual and other media opportunities offered to enhance your presentation whenever possible, but be careful to avoid excessive use of color effects, animation effects, transition effects, sound effects, and try to avoid having more than 6 lines of text per slides and make them primarily headings of subheadings. Remember that a picture can be worth 1,000 words, or use graphics and enhance your presentation. Consider how you will make such diagram available to students. But be aware of copyright limitation on non-original material. Next, try to avoid using red and green combination for emphasis. The most common form of color blinds prevents separation of reds and greens. Consider introducing lines of text one at a time or dimming the previous lines as the new line is introduced. This facilitates concentration on the current items. Putting the full slides up can result in the audience are reading ahead and not listening to what is being currently discussed. And this facility is succeed within the custom animation option. Creating a successful presentation. Standardized on form of animation text entry that is straightforward. I used Wi-Fi since I consider that it mimics the normal entry of text in a word processor and felt natural, at least for those from most Western countries. Use a, use a sans serif font as Arial rather than a serif font such as Time New Roman, and typographic, typographical text recommended. This is being easier to read on a poster or presentation slides. If you want more casual font or Comic Sans is a popular alternative for reading from paper hands-out. Serif font recommended. Serif font and recommended. Do not use more than two text color in presentation unless there are particular reason for doing so. Consider whether to use dark or a light background for the presentation. Dark backgrounds may not work well if the room is not fairly dark. Remember, too, that the darker the room has to be, the more likely the audience are to find it hard to stay awake. Bear in mind that students with dyslexia often find high contrast between text and background very difficult to read. Consider standardizing on reduced contrast combination for that reason. Tips for making effective PowerPoint presentation. Use the Slide Master features to create a consistent and simple design template. Simplify and limit the number of words on each screen. Limit punctuation and avoid putting words in all capital letters, or use contrasting colors for text and background, and avoid use of flashy transitions such as text fly ends. The problem with content. What is the problem with content? Use educationally appropriate design templates whenever possible and adapt their predetermined format unless there is a good reason to vary them. Sites such as a Presenter's University provide free collection of such templates. Alternatively, create your own templates but use the design templates as a model. If you have a corporate style template, consider whether it should be used for external presentation only. It can result in very monotonous presentation if the same style is used for all teaching material. I use customized styles for each module that I teach. Utilize the option for header and footer to include at least the name of the presenter, course designation, and the slides number on each slides to provide AC navigation by student within their own notes. Standardize the position of elements, color use, and font styles within a presentation. Include only necessary information. Use heading and subheadings mainly to provide a clear structure whilst leaving note-taking tasks to ensure students are active during the sessions. Restrict the number of key topics no more than 5 or 50 per 50 minutes presentation. Be concise and minimalist within a fixed transmission and animation. Consider focusing attention on the current line by using animated entry, followed by use of the dimming option. Do not use too many slides, an average of 15 to 20 per 50 minutes. Presentation is a good guidelines if using design templates rules. You can put extra ones in providing they are mainly illustrative, nature, some photographs purely for illustration and not requiring detailed descriptive support. Provide good contextual materials during the instruction and make sure that you have time to conclude the session appropriately. For largely information transmission session, use the adage. Tell them what you are going to tell them, and then tell them what you have told them. It is as well-established strategy in a learning context. Generally use no more than 6 lines on slides, excluding a heading, and avoid long sentences. Use a font and a font size that appropriate and clear. Arial recommended for clarity whilst I use Comic Sans is less formal presentation. Do not use gimmicky font and do not mix fonts unless it is for a good reasons and presenting quotes. Do not use capital except for occasional emphasis. They are harder to read than lowercase letter. Use graphic where appropriate but do not overuse them. No more than 2 graphics per slide is a good general rule. It is perfectly valid to continue to mix media when using PowerPoint. The projector does not have to be switched off when another device needs to use the same screen while presenting slideshow. The B or key becomes toggle switch that blanks that screen to allow other media to use it. Appropriate graphics include photographs and screenshots. Clip art with 6 images and diagram. Use sound and video from within the PowerPoint very sparingly. Sound rarely adds anything and sound effects can become very irritating whilst video clips are very demanding on the storage media. Video is usually better when run from a dedicated video player unless you have a very high specification system. Always remember that requirements for accessibility to disabled students. This is particularly relevant in the areas of font size and choice of colors, both the font and background. One of the benefits of using PowerPoint is the files can be used as a resources that is easily adapted for use by disabled students. The most common abuse in PowerPoint, including excessive details so that students need not be active, or during delivery. Slides are visually poor and or boring or even over the top. This is particularly the case when reads and green dominate. Too much text is put on slides, they're acting from its legibility. Excessive use of graphics just because you can. Irritating noisy and slide transition. Inappropriate use of multimedia options. Content often unmodified from an earlier non-PowerPoint presentation, thus failing to make use of the advantages offered. The 50 slides of text-only presentation is doomed to fail. Our tendency to go too fast is common simply because of this ease of delivery of the material. Not making plans for copying in event of technological failure or backup overheats or alternative activities. So what the most common abuse in PowerPoint? So what are the most common abuse? Time abuse. You should not abuse the time of your target audience. You just have to show the way where the main priorities are on, that is more than enough. You can always end a little bit earlier with your concise message. This is better than to end late and over-explain. Attention abuse. You should never ignore people who are listening to your speech. You have to grade them, make a good eye contact, and try to do your best to engage people within your well-prepared content. This will help you to customize people concern and needs. Design abuse. This is one of the most common presentation abuses. Do not forget that the design of your presentation is the reflection of your professionalism. You should avoid listening the first impression in a negative way. Clarity abuse. If you lack confidence, it will be very difficult to people to get the message you are trying to transmit. You should avoid situations when your audience feels annoyed, before or lost. The top the top abuse is when PowerPoint presenter is full of anxiousness or simply unprepared well enough. Okay, these are the most common abuse in PowerPoint. Okay, this is our topic for today. A use of PowerPoint presentation as educational technology. And study hard and good luck to all, and see you the next module. Thank you. So our module, the next module, are use podcast and wiki as educational technology. Goodbye.